Hi everyone, I'm Johnny. Welcome to the channel, and this is the GUP Queen of Crow. Let's check it out. GUP are an independent pedal maker based out of Saguenay, Quebec in Canada, building boutique-level pedals with amazing artwork, super clean wiring, and solid builds for a fraction of what you'd expect to pay for the average boutique pedal. I have a number of their pedals that I'll be reviewing on this channel, but today I want to talk specifically about this one. This is the Queen of Crow. It is their take on the Analog Man King of Tone, and if you're familiar with that pedal, this is the exact same thing, but obviously in their own enclosure, their own build, for a fraction of what that pedal costs, and you won't have to wait the better part of a decade to get your hands on one. For those who aren't familiar with the original, the Queen of Crow is a stacked overdrive based on a Marshall Bluesbreaker circuit ×2. It's the exact same circuit run in serial, meaning from right to left like you would normally have on your typical pedal board. The idea behind it is twofold. Number one, you can dial them in completely different and have two different flavors of overdrive, depending on what your song or your set requires, or you can use it in unison as a stacked overdrive, meaning you'd be using one of the circuits as your main rhythm boost, and then you'd be using the other circuit, which you could activate in unison to it or activate afterwards, and you'd be using that as your lead boost. So if you're going into a lead part, or you just need more volume or gain for a specific part in your set or again in your song, this pedal can do both. It can act as your main rhythm boost, and then you can engage the other side of it, either side of it, and engage your lead boosts. The front of the pedal is fairly traditional with your volume, drive, and tone knob, as well as your on-off switch and your indicator LED, and then you've got the exact same setup on the other side. So you can dial these in completely differently and then stack them up or use them separately, but what makes this pedal really special and really powerful is when you take off the back cover, you see on the inside you've got a small set of dip switches. There's 4 of them in the middle, and they select different kinds of clipping, so you can increase the overall gain that the pedal is pushing out. On the right and left of that, you've got these little white knobs. These are presence knobs that can either increase or decrease the overall treble presence, or high end and mid frequencies in your tone. And lastly, on the very edge, there is a small high gain switch, allowing you to, again, increase the amount of gain that either side is putting out. Using those dip switches, as well as the knobs on the front, the high gain mods, the presence knobs, etc., you can really dial in two very different tones between the two sides of the pedal and really open up the options in terms of what you can have in one song or in one set, all from one pedal, as opposed to having multiple overdrives on your pedal board. So let's talk a little bit about what all these switches do. So the dip switches in the center allow you to select different styles of clipping, or how much distortion is being added to your overall tone. No clipping, typically described as a transparent boost, is boosting the input signal of the guitar into the amp with no added distortion. This is the type of clipping found in pedals categorized as clean boosts. Soft clipping adds some distortion or added tone coloring. This is the type of clipping found in pedals categorized as overdrive, but not enough clipping to be categorized as a distortion pedal. Hard clipping, the most aggressive in terms of added saturation and tone coloring. This is the type of clipping found in pedals categorized as distortion. When these switches are all down, you're getting no clipping across either circuit, just transparent, clean boost. Switch 1 up is an overdrive on the right side, so you're introducing soft clipping or overdrive level clipping on the right side of the pedal. Switch 2 up is hard clipping or distortion on the right side of the pedal. Switch 3 up is soft clipping or overdrive on the left side of the pedal. Switch 4 up is hard clipping or distortion on, again, the left side of the pedal. It's worth noting that hard clipping always overrides soft clipping, so when up, switches 2 and 4 will override switches 1 and 3. Think of it this way: 2 and 1 are linked and 4 and 3 are linked. They're affecting the same sides of the pedal. 2 is bigger than 1, so if both switches are up, 2 overrides 1. 4 is bigger than 3, so if both 3 and 4 are up, 4 is going to override 3. And of course they're running in serial from right to left. So the trick is, when you're switching these dip switches up and down, is to really kind of reverse your brain a little bit and remember that switches 1 and 2 are affecting this side of the pedal and switches 3 and 4 are affecting this side of the pedal. I know that seems obvious, but when you're kind of going through the different sounds and auditioning different tones and flipping the pedal back and forth, it does become easy to kind of get confused about which side you're affecting with each switch flip. So just kind of reverse your brain as you flip it, stage right, stage left kind of thinking. Let's talk about the presence knob. The original Bluesbreaker circuit can be quite dark sounding for some ears, so by turning this knob, you're adding more high-end and upper-mid frequencies into the mix. Now, if you haven't used a Bluesbreaker before, but you've used something like a tube screamer, just know that it doesn't sound like a tube screamer. It does a lot of the same stuff, but a tube screamer is known for having an aggressive mid bump, an upper end bump as well, and some smoothing of the low end. A Bluesbreaker does that, but it doesn't have the same aggression in terms of how much of each of those things it's doing. It does have a bit of a mid boost, a bit of a treble boost, and a bit of a smoothing to the low end, but it's much less dramatic than on a pedal like a tube screamer, which is exactly why tube screamer is as popular as it is. However, by tweaking the presence knob and by playing with the tone knobs and playing around with this pedal, I can really get it to sound more like I want it to, which of course is similar to a tube screamer. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably using an overdrive pedal to boost an already high gain amp. I crank the volume knob, I turn the drive knob off, and I use the tone to taste, and it adds a lot of bite and a lot of clarity and a lot of low end taming to my high gain tone. I'm using this pedal very similarly, but I'm also using the other side of the pedal in order to give myself a lead boost when I go into a lead part. I'm going to demo both how it sounds on a clean channel as a distortion pedal or an overdrive pedal, but then I'll also demo how it sounds as a clean boost in front of an already driven high gain amp. Well, let's start with the basics. Let's do some tone comparisons. So I'm going to do 3 tones, my clean channel on my amp with no saturation, and then I'll go into the left side of the pedal, which will be one of the clipping modes, either no clipping, soft clipping, or hard clipping, and the right side of the pedal will be the same settings, but with the high gain mod on. The high gain mod will be off on the left side. So let's do that together. For today's demos, I'll be using my Charvel Pro Mod SoCal Style 2 with Fishman Fluence pickups. I'm using it in coil tap mode with the selector switch in the middle position. These pickups are quite hot and they tend to give a lot of natural gain. I don't want that in this demo. I just want as pristine a channel as sound as possible so that I can demo the pedal as much as possible. I'm going through my Rev G20, which is going into its matching cabinet equipped with a Celestion V30 speaker and mic'd up with a Shure SM57 and an Audio-Technica AT2020. Let's get into it. So there you have it. You can hear that each of the different settings does sound very different depending what you're looking for, either more gain or less gain. But what was most surprising is the high gain setting, or the high gain mod, isn't adding nearly as much saturation as the name might make you think it would. It's not going to turn your pedal into a metal zone. That's not what's going to happen. If anything, it's just pushing more gain into specific territories. I found that it was adding more of a rich and dark character to the tone overall. So it's not just saturating more, it's changing the character a little bit as well. Now, the thing that makes the pedal really sought after, though, is the stacking element. So not only can you get different sounds between the two different sides, but it's more about using one side of the pedal as your main rhythm or crunch overdrive, or your clean boost to your main tone, and then using the other side of the pedal and engaging it when you need your lead boost. Now, the pedal runs in serial, which means in order, from right to left. Depending where you want to put your lead boost versus your rhythm boost, you're going to get slightly different effects depending on where they are. So, for example, your lead boost being before your main rhythm boost or after will change your overall boost effect. If you're using the right side of the pedal as your main boost and the left side as your lead boost, then you're putting your boost after your main gain. That's going to give you more volume when you engage the left side as your lead boost. When you're using the left side as your main rhythm boost and the right side as your lead boost, because you're putting the lead boost before the gain, you're going to get more gain in the signal. So that's a lot to take in. I'm not going to go over every single different sound this pedal can make because we'll be here a long time. It's a very versatile pedal, has a lot of different features and a lot of different settings. However, I did want to give everybody an idea of what this pedal sounded like in its more traditional approach, being used in front of a high gain amp, different clipping settings, whether or not the high gain mod is on. Hopefully this video gave you some perspective on that. Now what I'd like to do is demo how I use this pedal in my own application, which, if you're very similar, I use my overdrives as a boost in front of an already driven high gain amp, and I'd want to use the lead boost side to add sustain and extra gain to cut past my noise gate pedal and to cut through the mix with the band. That's how I'd want to be using this pedal. So with that in mind, I'm going to set it up for exactly that. I'll be using the Rev G20 amp again on the purple channel with the blue aggression, which is my favorite for 6-string guitars. A few details about how I'm dialing this in to really get what I want. I want a clean boost for my rhythm tone. So switches 3 and 4, which affect the left side of the pedal, are down. Switch 2 is up because I do want distortion in my lead. I want as much gain as you can give me for my lead tone. It's just how I am. It's how I'll always be. Then I have the presence knob turned all the way up on the rhythm boost, which is the left side of the pedal, but I don't have it at all on the lead side of the pedal. Then I have the high gain mod turned on the lead side, which is the right side, but I don't have it on at all for the left side, which is my main rhythm side. And the reason why was because I found it took away, because it was adding some darkness, it was taking away some of the bite and adding a little bit more of a woolliness. However, I found I really didn't like it in my rhythm tone, but I really liked it in my lead tone because it took away some of the pick attack. So that's the setup I have. I have the left side as my main rhythm boost, the right as my lead boost. The left side is in no clipping mode with the level all the way up, the drive all the way down, the tone just down a touch, and the presence knob all the way up. And then on the right side, I've got the distortion mod or hard clipping mod, the high gain mod, and the presence knob untouched, and I've got all dials just cranked, volume full, drive full, and tone up a little bit because it's working more as a treble boost at that point. So let's hear how it sounds. That's about it, folks. Depending on how you're approaching the flow of the signal, depending on how you've got the settings adjusted, you can get a lot of versatility out of this pedal, a huge variety of different tones. From classic British blues breaker to crunchy hard rock to high gain overdrive. There's so much you can do with it, and it's all in one pedal, and it looks amazing. The artwork's incredible, and you're supporting an awesome independent builder by checking out their stuff. I highly recommend you check it out at guptech.ca. Check out the entire catalog they offer. They've got some amazing pedals. I'll be reviewing more of their pedals in the near future, but if you liked this video, go ahead and leave me a like, a subscribe, a comment, etc. Let's talk gear, let's hang out, and I'll see you in the next one.